Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi. Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
I like to see democracy in action when it works. And some of this stuff is advise and consent. All right. The Senate is supposed to listen to these guys, ask them questions, give some advice, and then consent. They're not supposed to deride and attack and campaign. Right. That's what too many of them are doing. That John Ossoff, I wanted to rub his face into some mud. And this other guy, the obnoxious dude from Rhode Island, Sheldon. I don't like him already because of his name. Sheldon Whitehouse. Sheldon. He's the nastiest, prissiest little jerk I've ever seen. And you got to remember, he's a total racist. He's a member of a club, a beach club, that's been around for a long time that doesn't let black people join. Doesn't let black people join. In 2026? In the North, for crying out loud? Sheldon, with all your influence, with all your power, you haven't figured out a way to change the law of that dumb club? Why would you join such a dumb club? Ever been to the beaches in Rhode Island? I hear they're overrated. The best beaches in the world, quite frankly. Well, the best beach I've ever been to was North Carolina. Man, oh man, oh man. They used to tumble us around. The waves are very intense. I don't know if I'd go in there now. You know, I prefer pool. I prefer the pool because, you can see the floor. You know what's there. No shells, no seaweed, no, everything's accounted for. You look down and you can't see. Often you can't see what's down there. And I don't like that. And the undertow is, a no-joke thing. And I'm not really worried about sharks, although I was for a long time. I saw Jaws when I was like 6 years old. Probably the time you're not supposed to see these movies. I was very, very, very impressionable. Very impressionable. Okay, just big picture here. I want President Trump to give that speech tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Can't believe the pushback. President Trump wants to talk about the election. The election of 2020. Oh, he shouldn't be talking about that. It's so long ago. Well, in 2022, all they were talking about was January 6th. When did that happen? 2021, a year and a half prior, amid the highest gas prices in the history of the world. Dominant media and Democrats told us the most important thing were fake January 6 hearings. A lot of momentum, by the way, a lot of momentum for prosecutions against Michael Fanone, Cassidy Hutchinson, all of the people. I'm so proud of this. I am so proud of this, actually. There are so many headlines about, conservative nutjob Greg Kelly calling Cassidy Hutchinson a liar, making fun of Christine Edwards, another Capitol cop who somehow thought responding to a riot was beneath her. Isn't that one of the things you do, right? When you're a cop, law enforcement, this was beneath you. She bitched and moaned about how hard she had to work. Okay, well, I thought, join the club. What did you expect? What did you expect? Anyway, all these people are probably going to be rounded up and charged, and that's a beautiful thing. So the speech, I got my eye on that. What else? As we approach the midterms, I kind of forget. For a long time, it seemed like they're so far away, so far away, so far away. Well, we're almost in August. This month is halfway over, for crying out loud, halfway July. And then August is a total chillax month. Try to get anything done in August. Good luck. Nobody wants to do anything until after Labor Day. After Labor Day, where the hell are we? September, and then it's a mad dash to the midterms. Now, people I know, smart people, have said, don't worry about the midterms until the fall. That's when it starts. And if that's when it starts, that's when it starts. But I can't just sit here and not, I'm worried about the midterms. And if you don't want the next 2 years to look like what the hell happened today, like this, here's Sheldon Whitehouse. Do you want this guy running impeachment hearings? That's going to happen again. And not that it matters, not that it really makes a difference, but they're going to impeach President Trump 2 or 3 times. Now, we know that doesn't matter because he can survive the Senate, we think. I don't want to play any games with that. But it also distracts from the more important work of the country. It also dissuades good people from entering this this miserable life of politics, and it can be a very miserable life. I used to actually see myself doing it. No. All right, here's Sheldon against Todd Blanche this morning. Go.
Hi. How long do you intend to put up with that Kash Patel character? Are you good with his airplane jaunts? Are you confident he's not drinking on the job? Are you sure none of his travel is a pretext for vacation activities like snorkeling, Olympics, and visiting girlfriends? Are you sure he knows what he's doing? Do you vouch for him? Are you willing to look at whether he lied to this committee?
That's an extraordinarily obnoxious question.
Yeah!
And I have full faith in Director Patel and the work that he's doing every day.
Great. You get to own that. One last thing, if I may.
This Kash Patel character? Sheldon, how did these guys ever get elected in the first place? Oh, Sheldon, you are terrible. Terrible. That was great. Well handled. Well played, don't you think? All right, much more seriously. Corey Comperatore is a name that I actually think doesn't get discussed enough. Corey Comperatore was sitting behind President Trump. President Trump has done amazing things for that family. By the way, I know this for a fact. President Trump has done more than the right thing by the Comparatores. He's been so decent and kind. Anybody remember at the convention when he had Corey Comperatore's firefighter coat kind of on a like hanging there, and he went up to it and he kissed it. He kissed it, and it was just like it was beautiful and vulnerable. And I think this Corey Comperatore himself was beautiful and kind of vulnerable. I heard from the wife, he was there, and he's like, Donald Trump's going to call me up on that stage. I know he is. He's probably just having fun. And he certainly was on that stage for all of history. What an interesting moment. So this is his widow, a very thoughtful woman. I like her a lot. And she has said this. She said, I want to know what the hell happened. They screwed up. I lost the love of my life. And how did that happen? How did that happen? How can 55 federal and local law enforcement spot a suspicious character and do nothing? Just text about him. Now, part of that is just stupid and a result of our culture where nobody wants to do anything anymore because our boss can come in and everybody micromanages everything. So they're literally talking about this guy, I'm not going to do it. You do it. I'm not going to do it. Don't take action. Just talk about taking action. Just talk about the thing instead of doing something about the thing. That's a cultural thing. That's email. That's text. That's the workplace. That's risk avoidance. That's a lot of things. It's possibly pot and weed and Netflix and chilling out. Netflix and chill, right? Just watch TV and have sex. That's the point of life. Anyway. Here she is, talking to a fine journalist about her husband and that day in Butler, Pennsylvania 2 years ago. You ready, Carlos, with that, please? Hit it.
Crooks himself remains shrouded in mystery. Authorities still haven't publicly identified a motive for his attempted assassination of President Trump.
You've expressed belief that the gunman, Thomas Crooks, didn't act alone.
I don't believe there was another shooter there, but I believe that he was working with somebody. I believe it was an inside job inside the government somewhere.
And this was political?
Oh, yeah.
Political.
Absolutely. Yep.
Have you seen evidence to that?
Oh, I've been told things, but I've had something that happened with me that just afterwards, and you're starting to put the pieces together, It just made total sense.
What will help give you closure
when the people who put this all together that day are caught and it comes out.
So if you had a message for President Trump, what would it be?
Just to don't forget us and remember what we went through that day. You know, we're still here and we need answers.
Wow.
How?
Wow. We need answers. The family needs answers. The American people need answers. Now, President Trump, I know, is not forgotten. I know he's not forgotten. I also know he's taken care of them in a very, very significant way. But it sounds like they need a little love, too. It is awkward for President Trump to pursue this aggressively because it was clearly a Secret Service screw-up of the highest order, so much so that it almost seems like willful negligence, right? Willful, like on purpose. And Kimberly Cheadle and Cheney and the rest of it, it's just so bizarre. I don't know. But President Trump is surrounded by federal law enforcement, you know? He's surrounded by guys with guns. I heard once someone say that every president should be a little bit afraid of the intelligence community and their own security apparatus, right? You got all these guys with guns. You got all this, you know? Does that sound far-fetched? I mean, at one point it would have sounded far-fetched to me. But President Trump has enemies in the government. Some of them just... Look, remember, he had to be stopped. Democracy would end if President Trump came back. And if you think that, and you go around saying, I took an oath to preserve, protect the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and you think President Trump is a threat to that, then they gave themselves the moral and legal justification to kill him. And that's what I think happened. I want to know more, and I kind of know where she's coming from. She can't say everything. You know, do you have proof of that? You know, I'd be hard-pressed to prove that the Earth is round. How am I going to prove that? Let's say I couldn't... okay, here's a picture of the round Earth. How do I know that picture's not fake? I want you to prove, Greg, mathematically that the Earth is round. Now, I could not do that. And I know some people can, take a sundial and look at the horizon and prove that it's round. I can't do that. But I know it's round. Copernicus was the guy who came up with the theory that not only was the Earth round, but it was the center of the solar system, not the center of the universe. And actually not the center of the solar system, just a planet in a solar system. They arrested Copernicus for saying that stuff. They arrested the guy for saying a basic truth. Just like they tried to arrest some of us with grave concerns about the election of 2020. You'd think we've come a far way, but we haven't actually. You know what I mean? 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222. Do you want to hear a little bit? I mean, he is like cartoonishly obnoxious, this Sheldon White House. Angry politician. Angry, most of them are angry, and they're jealous as hell. This guy's been running for office his entire life. He's just the senator from Rhode Island. President Trump tries the first time out, bam, becomes president of the United States. Has his own plane, has his own stuff, has his own money. That's why all these guys get into it. Anyway, I got him apparently being even more obnoxious. It's amusing. And some other important issues when we come back. What's the number again? 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. Oh, by the way, at Greg Kelly USA on Instagram and Twitter. At Greg Kelly USA. Be right back.